I want to go across to Paulami Saha. She's at Droupadi Murmu's residence at this moment, smiling pictures of the victorious party. Droupadi Murmu in this white and blue sari, all set to become India's next president, receiving congratulations at this moment from the BJP president and the Prime Minister. What are you picking up from the ground, Paulami?
Right, Rahul, the Prime Minister, of course, just went in a short while ago into the residence. Just moments ago, in fact, he arrived over here at the residence of Droupadi Murmu. He was received by BJP President JP Nadda, who was already here. And, of course, he's gone in to congratulate Droupadi Murmu. And as you can see, there is, of course, arrangement which has been made over here at the residence, this Shamiana, which has been put up, this tent which has been put up, where Droupadi Murmu, in a short while from now, after a few of those dignitaries personally congratulate her, will be officially and publicly felicitated by the party and party karyakartas and members of parliament and others who will be arriving over here. And it had gone up a short while ago, which basically says Abhinandan Navnirvachit Mananiya Rashtrapati Droupadi Murmu. So the BJP was already very confident, and these are banners that we've seen across Lutyens, Delhi, central Delhi today as well, which basically already anticipated this victory for Droupadi Murmu, and the BJP is pulling out all stops, Rahul, in order to ensure that this momentous occasion is marked in history books when India, of course, gets its first tribal president.
What are you picking up about these cross votes? The fact that 104 MLAs, 17 MPs cross-voted, that's a big number. In some of the states like Assam, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, you've got more than a dozen MLAs cross-voting. That's a big number. It's not just in the ones and the twos. These are big numbers of cross-voting MLAs.
That's right. You know, the BJP had anticipated that there will be some amount of cross-voting because there were already murmurs, in fact, of that earlier. In fact, when the polling happened as well, and I was just going through the Prime Minister's tweets as well. The Prime Minister has, of course, congratulated Droupadi Murmu as she, of course, in fact, registered this victory for herself. But as far as cross-voting goes, Rahul, they had, of course, anticipated that there will be some amount of cross-voting. But today, of course, they were very surprised. At least that's what the BJP is claiming. We will have to eventually see the results as they are after they are officially declared how many MPs and how many MLAs from each state assembly and how do they vote. But as far as the MP votes were concerned, a top source told me, for instance, that they, out of the number of votes that were cast, 748 were declared to be valid and 15 others invalid. So 763, in fact, were the number of votes polled as far as Parliament was concerned in these elections. They had hoped to get 523. What Droupadi Murmu got was 540. That's 17 more MPs. So if you consider, even if you consider those 15 invalid votes and say a couple of those votes are BJP's votes, so the BJP trained its MPs real hard and its MLAs real hard to ensure that their votes are not considered to be valid. They know which ink to use, which pen to use, how to mark, etc., etc. Even if we consider that a few of those 15 invalid votes are from the Bharatiya Janata Party, that means they were anticipating for 523, but a few would be invalid, which means, but they got 540, which means the figure could be more than 17 in terms of the number of MPs that cross-voted. Now, that is a mind-boggling figure because the number that was doing the rounds was about 8 or 9. But BJP claims that we had calculated 523, we got 540, that's 17 MPs of the opposition camp that have cross-voted in Droupadi Murmu's favor. So there is going to be a lot of dissection of these results as they come in, especially with the state legislative assemblies. They were, of course, hoping big time on the third round of counting, which is, of course, the second set of states after the first 10 were counted. The second state of states being big states for BJP, Maharashtra, Karnataka, and, of course, they were hoping that they will, Madhya Pradesh, they were hoping that they will secure victory after that, which is when, of course, Droupadi Murmu technically crossed the halfway mark. Punjab being the only state which was not voting for Droupadi Murmu in that. In the last round, where counting is still underway, only Tamil Nadu and Rajasthan is where they're hoping, I mean, they're anticipating that it will not vote in their favor. But clearly, these are big states, and if there has been this amount of cross-voting, this is a worrying sign for the opposition, really, because the opposition now has to try and decipher as to how exactly is it that they couldn't get the number of votes, given that they all came together in order to announce Yashwant Sinha's name. But then we'll see the chinks already over there. Aam Aadmi Party did not attend those meetings, those two meetings that were called by Mamata Banerjee to declare Yashwant Sinha as the contender for the race. Aam Aadmi Party did not come for those meetings, and eventually, grudgingly, they did declare their support for Yashwant Sinha. But what eventually happened, that remains to be seen. When no whip was issued in this election, the BJP, of course, is now mocking it and saying, well, a lot of MPs and MLAs went out there and voted with